Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome my little tattletales. Yes, we are still sticking with that name, whether you like it or not. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of Tisa Tells. And as I see, we have the gorgeous, vibrant Fallon Pina here with us today. Fallon, before we start, I just have to say, I have a lot of people actually calling in asking, what's the origins of your name? That just popped into my head. Does your name have some type of special meaning? Did your mom just like the way it sounds? Because people are in love with your name and they just want to know what the origins are.
Fallon? And actually, she named me after Dynasty from the 70s. Yes, she did.
It was written, a soap opera was bound to pop up out of the name Fallon. Okay, this is where we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's just cut right into it because I know that there are a lot of people waiting and a lot of people want to hear your story. The reason why you're coming on is because it's been so distinct. People have been able to put in their different timelines, their version of what happened. And you've always spoken, honestly, from what I can tell, and as everybody knows, I'm a little detective, so we can always see that. But again, it's bits and pieces dropped over multiple conversations. And we want to kind of condense everything and give a definitive timeline that you can just let stand as record. And we've been all gathering receipts, no one more than myself, and we want to bring the biggest receipt, which is you. So, take it away.
Well, I just want to be clear that I'm really over talking about all of this, honestly. After last night doing the interview that I had, I didn't really get to have like a full floor, to really discuss a proper timeline. And it kind of just got scattered. One person's asking this, one person's asking that, which is why I don't really like to do interviews about this stuff. And I'm an awkward person regardless. So just talking about my personal life in general is me stepping out of my comfort zone, which spiritually I know I need to learn how to do more of. So that's what I really just want to talk about it now. I know I gave a little bit of a timeline last night, and then it kind of just got cut. And it's like, I don't want to be that person, where I just give y'all a little bit and then I'm like, oh, well, that's enough. Bye. I'm going to go off into the abyss. I don't want to do that. I want to be very honest. And I am a very honest person. So even whether you like it or not, I'm going to give it to you. So yeah, let's do it.
Definitely. Now, I'm going to supplement, what my little birth street have been saying. I know last night when I was watching the Fox, somebody made a comment that, oh, you guys were both doing whatever to each other. My sources are saying that there was a clear, distinguished, and this is sources from both sides saying, before I even talk to you, that there was a clear black and white distinguishing mark between when you guys were together and when you guys decided to separate. As a matter of fact, even though you did allude to there was somebody famous that you were dating, that did not start until you guys completely agreed to separate.
Right. I mean, I don't really like to go into the details of one's marriage because everybody has their own right and wrong. At the end of the day, Simon and I, whatever our agreement was between the two of us, that's just what it was. What he was okay with after we separated that's just what he was okay with. And that's what I was okay with. There's no right or wrong within that. And at the end of the day, I did not cheat in my marriage. And Simon and I were well separated. I still lived in the house, but we were separated. Simon hadn't been home. Even when he did come home, he was doing his own thing. And, I was done. He was done. And whatever we wanted to do, that's just what we wanted to do.
Okay, so let's put out and I want everybody to kind of be where at mentally we're putting all the dots together, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about, in January, Simon had filed for divorce from you, and you spoke about this in previous interviews. When you got it, you were confused, you contacted him. He said, oh, don't worry about it, it's some technical issue. he withdrew. Now, my sources tell me that at that time, this is about the end of January, you guys had decided to try to, rekindle things, and you had a couples trip to Costa Rica and also to New Orleans. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
okay. Now, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were in Costa Rica. It was after filming, actually. Filming took so much of a toll on me. And I think it may have even taken a toll on Simon at that time, but I was so, just upset from filming. It was a very uncomfortable experience for me that we already had problems in our marriage, but then we really had issues in our marriage. So we decided to take a trip where it was just him and I. We had one other couple there, our best friends at that time. But it was just,
Jonathan is that Jonathan's girlfriend, or was it a different couple?
No, that is Jen and her husband. So, yeah, so we ended up going to Costa Rica, and then right after that, we went to New Orleans. And from what I thought, we were on a good track.
Okay, so you guys toward the end went to Costa Rica. We have to ask, this fabulous mansion that Simon is flaunting all down. When you went to Costa Rica, did you ever see that property that he put all over the internet? The Costa Rica mansion, it's 8 bedrooms. It's in the Escanza neighborhood. Ring any bells? No.
Actually, I don't keep up with it, so I haven't seen it, but that's not the one that we stayed at, no.
The one that you stayed at, was that a vacation rental, or was it just a property that you actually owned?
That was actually a property that we were looking to purchase together, and we were going to do some work on it and use it as a rental property for other people.
Now, my sources actually tell me this is the same property. I don't know if you kept up with Simon's feed back then, but he actually showed on his feed showing a property that was adjoining pools and was separated by a bush, and he was a hedge. He was saying, oh, I love my life, and seemed like he was scouting. My sources tell me this is actually the same property that you guys actually stayed at.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys came back, and did you feel like that couple's vacation, rekindling anything? Do you feel like it worked?
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
It did work, but however, there was something of a timeline with when was the next hiccup? When was the next hiccup? Now, Simon highlighted on security footage he showed, he highlighted that Valentine's Day, something in that area. However, I had a report that Simon wasn't actually in the family home during that time. Would you mind sharing that with us, or?
Oh yeah, that gets a little grungy. So February 13th, it's like, pre-Valentine's Day night, all the couples are out and everything still. So I ended up going to dinner. I ended up at dinner. It wasn't like planned, but I ended up at dinner with my best friend and her husband, the same ones that came with us on the trip. And her husband is texting Simon, like, where are you? Like, what's going on? Where are you? And he had his own plans, I guess, that night. He was out. Come to find out, he didn't respond to her husband. But come to find out later on that night, he was out clubbing, and I spent bringing in Valentine's Day at dinner with, third wheeling. So, I mean, it was hurtful, but whatever. We were having issues, I guess. So maybe he just, I don't know. I really don't know. But we ended up going to bed after that. So I ended up meeting up with him later. And while he was out, we ended up going to bed. We woke up the next morning around 7:30, and on Valentine's Day morning, And he woke up and he said, I think I'm just going to take a drive. And I was like, okay, a drive? And he was like, yeah, I just need to be by some water. I just need to think. I just want to clear my head and, just get my spiritual grounds. And I was like, okay. I mean, I had done that once before when we got into a really heated argument, but I went to go stay with my parents in Panama City. I took all the kids with me. But he said that he wanted to bite off of what I did that one time. And so he packed up a little suitcase, or his little hoe bag. I call it a hoe bag. But his little I know everybody's always like, why do you call it a hoe bag? I think it's a Southern thing, their hoe bag. But he packed up his little hoe bag and yeah, he left. He said he was just going to take a drive. He may stop in Orlando, or maybe by Miami. He said he'll know once he gets to the turnpike. I was like, okay. So he left. Later on at 10:30, around 10:30, 11 p.m., he finally called me and said that he just ended up driving to Miami, and where he stayed at a condo then. Yeah. So, go ahead.
So sorry to interrupt. So you mentioned that you had done something like this similar, where there were relationship problems, and you took the kids and you drove down to your parents' house. At this point, when you say kids, I assume you mean the two boys that you were co-parenting with Simon and his second wife, and of course your boys. Did Simon take the kids with him, or who got the kids?
No. He didn't take any of the children. When he was gone, when he went to Miami, he ended up staying away from the house for 2 months. From that point, I believe he was between Miami, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Okay, I don't know what that is. And so no, he didn't take any of the children with him. I had the children when he was gone for those 2 months.
When you said you had the children, what children did you have? Did you have your bonus children and your biological children, or was it just your biological children?
Correct. I had the bonus children and my biological children, his 2 boys, and my 3 boys. And, just held down the fort and did what a mother does.
Now, when you said that you actually held down the fort, I mean, I can imagine if my significant other, let alone husband, is like leaving, and at this point he had told you that he was going to be gone for 2 months, or did the 2 months just spread out? Like each day you discovered that he wasn't coming home tomorrow or the next day, or did he tell you, I'll be back in 2 months?
Yeah, no, it wasn't planned. He just ended up just not coming home for 2 months. Within those 2 months, there was times where I would lock myself in the room, I'd cry myself to sleep. Some days I would beg for him to come home. Some days, he was being a douche, so I didn't want him to come home. There was so much in that, but I didn't really get to, when I say held the fort down, what I mean by that is I didn't really get to grieve the way I truly wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the time really. I had a safe face, and I had to make sure the boys weren't affected, and that, I just told them every day that daddy was gone away to work. And so, I just did what I had to do. So
you told all the children, Simon's children and your children, because he didn't give a date. So you just led them to believe he was just busy working, and they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been really
I would take them out on our own trips. We drove to Tennessee at one point. That was fun. We did our own thing, had our own trips, throughout those 2 months. But to go back to the whole Jalen thing around Valentine's Day, which was actually, I think, the 16th or something. The reason why, Jalen was always there anyway. It's like he lived there, along with my other assistant. I have 2 assistants. It was Jalen, my other assistant, my best friend, my mom, and my uncle who were coming in and out, in and out, in and out the house after Simon left, because on the 15th, our gate broke. And so it wouldn't close. And we had these two guys come up to our gate, and they kept yelling something on the mic, on the screen. They were like, "Whoa, we want to take pictures. But they were being really aggressive. Yeah. And Simon was like, "Lock all the doors." He had called me and was like, "Lock all the doors. The gate is broken. They can get in." We didn't know what was going on. And it was just me with the boys, all the boys by myself. I was scared shitless. So I called literally everyone that I trusted to come and stay with me. Now, the video that you guys saw was, first and foremost, that door, the side door, which Jalen and my uncle used that side door all the time, but that door was broken. It wasn't closing at all. It would just gust open with the wind. Simon, this door is broken. This door is broken. This door is broken. So then finally, when I had Jalen come over, I told him, no, he had come with me after I went out. I was back home by midnight. He was there. I said, go through that door it was raining, so I went through the front. And I was like, go through that door and check it out, because he's Mr. Fix-It. Go check it out and try to see if at least, you can get it to close. It's not going to really lock, because the lock was all messed up. He was like, okay, cool. He went to the side and yada, yada. I have the text messages of when I sent this to Simon. So he used that video footage of him walking through that door in the middle of the night, like, as me cheating. I never cheated on Simon, especially not with somebody who was in our house and around my kids.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. So let me just kind of condense everything for the people that are just joining, so everybody can kind of catch up. We're establishing a definitive timeline. From what we've learned so far, for everybody joining late, right? Hit the like button while you guys are in here to balance some love. So what happened was there was some type of trouble brewing in January. You guys decided to try to reconnect. You took 4 or 5 days in Costa Rica, and you took a few more days in New Orleans. It was just the two of you guys, and you thought you reconnected. On Valentine's Day, the day before Valentine's Day, if I understand, you were at a couple's dinner that Simon was supposed to join you at, but he did not join because he was in the club or doing other stuff, I understand that. However, you guys did reconnect that night, and that's fine. You guys came back to the house you lived, your familiar home. Simon woke up. Now we are on Valentine's Day. He woke up at about 7:30. You both did. And he said, hey, you know what? The wind's blowing. I want to take a trip. Part of it, you were like, this is weird, but okay. But you're saying you had taken a trip previously, but it was a family trip where you took all the boys with you to kind of unplug from the drama at home and visit your parents. Simon decided to unplug, but he unplugged by himself. When he did not come home, he didn't give a date each passing day. You discovered he just wasn't coming home. And he also left you with, of course, your children and also your bonus children. You took his parental duties as well, keeping the boys occupied so they didn't know that there was any friction or strife. And you found out through Simon, I'm guessing, that he went down to Miami, but there was never any return date. It is what it is. Now, okay, so you guys, that's a lot to take in, but it's important that we get this timeline, right? The end of January, cool. January 15th, Simon gets Wonderlust. He grabs his, whole bag. We'll shout that out to Fallon. He grabs his whole bag and he is out. Now, why that happened, you guys all remember the footage that Mr. Gabodi had posted saying, this is the face of a cheating wife, like on some telenovela stuff, right? Excuse me, Fallon, this is the way that I conduct my life. So I keep my jokes at a minimum, but he's saying that this is a cheating wife. Now, the reality is the fact that he was aware that there was some type of security breach. The door was not secure. People had approached and tried to get into the house. So not only was Jalen there, but you had an assistant, you had family there, you had your uncle, basically anybody that could come and stay with you, for one, to keep you company, if I understand what you're saying, and two, for that extra bit of security. Now, you guys, for everybody that's joining, this is the last bit, and then you'll be up to date. The reason why Simon even got that footage of Jalen walking to the side door is because that is where the security breach were, and the door would just blow open. So you, when you guys were bringing food back, told Jalen, yo, go in there and see if somebody's there. Jalen went and checked, made sure everything was good, and then everybody joined everybody else. So it wasn't just Jalen staying at the house, the family was there.
At night, the reason why I told Jalen to come was because it was just at night. Everybody else that was staying there were taking turns throughout the day, based off of whatever they had to do for the day. But at night, it was just my uncle and Jalen. So they were the only ones who were able to stay. So that's why I was like, okay, no, it can't just be my uncle. You need to come and help me. And, I need to feel more safe. And Jalen had his own quarters in the house that he always stayed in.
Okay.
It's nothing out of the norm.
Now, when you say your uncle, did Simon know your uncle? How long did your uncle stay there?
My uncle, he works here in Atlanta. He lives in Alabama. So he's always back and forth. And when he would be here working, he'd stay at our home. Yeah, he was my uncle very well.
So it's Valentine's Day, he's gone, the days turn into weeks, the weeks are starting to turn into months. Was it often Simon called to check on his children at least?
The answer to that sounds as though I would be talking poorly about someone else's parenting, which I'm completely against. However, no, he wouldn't check on them, and I have those text messages too. No, it got to a point where I would get frustrated with him about not calling the children or not checking on them. I think the specific text message that I stated was, I said, "Oh, your children are fine, by the way," or something like that. And he's like, "I was gonna check on them,"
So that's how sporadic the communication is, that you had to reach out to him, and you have text messages to prove this, to say, hey, if you're wondering, the kids are healthy and they're fed, just FYI. That's how sporadic the communication was between you guys. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot. So what were you feeling like in that time? Because I have to say, and of course I watched the Fox Soul interview with Claudia Jordan. I'm a big fan of Claudia. But what was your mental state? I agree with what Claudia said. Fallon, you are like the queen of class. I think it's earth sign energy. You keep that earth power where you're like, the wind may blow, the oceans may flood, but I will remain. I don't know. What am I saying? I already know I wouldn't have kept it as classy as you, right? So I really admire the way you're doing it, because I do know that, again, we're about to go. I know that we live in a society where a woman is damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't, right? If you stay quiet and do a firm upper lip, you're being a doormat. And then everything the guy's saying, if he wants to disparage you, he is at the mercy to kind of like write a narrative, and you're at his mercy. If he wants to be kind, he can be kind. If he wants to disparage, he can disparage. But if you open your mouth and complain, then it's just like, you're just bitter, you're just this. So I appreciate this balancing act that you have to walk every day. But if you could just let us know, what were you feeling like in those times when Simon was gone? I know that you guys were in couple therapy. Were you still attending couple? Did he even bother to call in through couples therapy while he was gone? Or what was that like?
Simon, yes, he was there. He would call in. We would be on FaceTime with the therapist. As much as he needed to be, he was there. It was where things started getting rocky, because I was still, it's kind of embarrassing to say, I was still
Frontier, we have you. Don't worry.
I was still being tenacious, you know, I was still trying to hold him down, even though he was gone away from the home. He didn't have any valid reason to be. It's embarrassing. But yeah, I was, you know, I was trying to make it work.
You were.
And, yeah. And I felt as though he was trying to make it work because even though he was gone, he was still there for therapy at least. So I'm like, okay, you know, maybe this is just what's best. Maybe that we're just having a hiccup. Marriages have hiccups all the time. You know, you're not going to throw in a towel over a hiccup. Cool. So I didn't think anything of it. However, where things started to change for the worse was when the therapist, surprisingly, and I was actually against therapy. Simon forced me to go to therapy. He said, no, we need therapy. And, you know, la la. And I'm like, okay, well, fine, let's go to therapy. But the therapist started asking him gut-wrenching questions about me. I mean, little simple questions to, you know, the more difficult questions, you know, my strength, my weaknesses, things that a husband should know about his wife. Simon knew nothing about me. In 5 years, Simon knew nothing. He knew how I like my liquor.
That's shocking to hear. No, I mean, I'm a big softie. For any of you guys that don't know, I laugh, but I'll cry to drop it a hat. So that must have been so disheartening. Like, give an example of like the little things, you know, like what's Fallon's favorite color, what color are her eyes, like give us an example of something that he just was like blinked out on you.
I actually did after she started pointing those things out. I did actually ask him what my favorite color was. I was like, I don't know. I paint with the same 2 colors all the time. It's green and blue. You know, but you know, I wear those colors every day. I chose my car to be blue. But you know, whatever. But you know, not every man knows that about his wife. So I let that one go. But it was just little simple things like, you know, what does she like to eat? You know, just little simple things. What really blew me away was when she started getting to the harder things. And the hardest question she asked him that was hard for me to swallow was, what does your respect level for Fallon look like? And he chuckled. And he had no answer. And we both looked at him like, you know, as women, we're like,
yeah.
And there was no answer. So I said in that very moment, I said, do you respect me? Do you not respect me? And there was no answer. I mean, it was just like, there was nothing.
No answer. He just let that hang in the air after the chuckle.
Yeah.
And this is why you guys are going to marriage trying to work out. And I imagine when this happened, was he back in the family home from his 2-month excursion in Miami?
During this session, I want to say he was back.
Okay. So this was. This is back to April. I'm going to make a timeline for those of you guys that's joining. I just know before I go into rehashing the timeline, so I can keep getting everybody coming in the room drawn up. Forgive me for this, Fallon, but I just want to make sure everybody's always on the same page. You did say something that when I said, you know, with marriage therapy, you said you didn't want to go, but this time Simon did. What was your, because I know a lot of people point to Real Housewives of Atlanta. What did your marriage, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, look like prior to that? Was it smooth sailing, bumpy road, the highs outweighed the lows? I know you made comments about women being tenacious and fighting, even when people, I was all up and down your Instagram, but fighting even when people don't deserve it. I mean, was that in relation to the last year of your marriage, or did it, you know, kind of branch out into more?
Hell yeah. Yes, it was. It was, sorry, you kind of lost me with what your question was.
Well, my question was like, when you said he wanted to go this time, was this the first time you guys were in couples therapy? Was this the time that you guys had major problems that made him leave the family house for 2 months?
Oh yeah, no. Before we even got married, Simon and I were together for 5 years. So before we even got married, of course, we were not newbies to therapy. We have been to therapy a couple of times, individually, together. I mean, we love therapy. I love therapy to this day, you know. But yeah, no, this time, this was the first time within our marriage after we got married that we would be going. And I think Simon was having his own issues with trying to find his newfound place in my life because I now had something that had nothing to do with him, which was a career that was building. Um, and I had my own issues because now here I am, I'm growing, you know, and I'm doing more things for myself and I'm trying to find out how to properly balance being a mom, a wife, you know, and having a career and, you know, all of these different things. Because if I did ever do anything, it was from home. It wasn't, you know,
Mhm.
being on television or anything like that. So, you know, it was all new for everybody. So that's why I think he started, excuse me, why he suggested for us to go to therapy. I was against it because I actually told him that I felt like if we went to therapy, that I would leave, that this
Really?
marriage probably wouldn't work.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So the therapy it wasn't new, but this time it was just a little different. So you guys, just to get you guys up on the timeline, we're starting off with the time frame of when did we first were made aware that there was a divorce maybe happening. Simon filed a divorce in the last week in January. He called him, he withdrew it. They went on a trip to reconnect. They went to Costa Rica. They did not stay at the mansion. They stayed at another vacation rental property that they were considering buying together. If you guys don't know, even by Simon's own mouth, Fallon keeps her own coin. She is a Taurus queen, so you know that's always good there. She thought they were connected. The 13th of Valentine's Day, they were supposed to have a couple's dinner. He blew her off. She connected with him at night after the dinner. They ended up going home together. He woke up on Valentine's Day and said, I'm out. And he left the family home with a whole bag packed up. Now, the interesting thing that Fallon let us know is he left everything. He left his car. He left his a toothbrush, who knows, he left his children also. The children that him and Fallon up to that point had been co-parenting, his two boys and Fallon's three boys. She left for 2 months, but I did not know it was for 2 months. He just wasn't coming back home. And he trusted her enough, oddly enough. You know, there's a lot of narratives going out there, and I feel like there's a lot of narratives coming from people that are trying to disparage you. But I do find it very telling that somebody trusted you enough with what I assume is the most valuable thing in the world, which is their own flesh and blood. And trusted you enough that they weren't even checking in. You were reminding them that they were okay. And I don't want to judge anybody's parenting skills, but it seems like people have treated hamsters better than those 2 months the boys had with their father checking in. But that said, during that time, you still didn't feel as if, because you guys had up and downs, that the marriage was over because you guys were still attending couples therapy. So there was this back and forth where there was something you guys were fighting for without a doubt. It wasn't just your imagination. You were fighting. If somebody was attending couples therapy with me, I would assume that they're fighting for the relationship too. Okay. Now you talk about, you know, things started to change when you started to get your own career. What are you referring to, Real Housewives of Atlanta? Or why don't you tell us what you know, really quickly, what you did before you started Real Housewives of Atlanta, and also when did filming for Real Housewives of Atlanta?
I started filming in September. And
for all of you guys who have not watched part 3 of my expose, September is a month. So we think that you met Porsche, from what we can see, when she came and knocked on your door with the pool party. Is that the first time you met Porsche?
yep, that was the day I met her.
Okay, so that's the first time that you met her, and your first time actually having Porsche in your house. I know you did say on Fox Soul that after filming, you guys were upstairs having a drink, having a laugh, kikiing. You even let her borrow items out of your closet. Another shocking claim.
She can't fit my clothes, but she could. She wore it out of my house. She fitted very well. My J-Lux label. And if you know J-Lux label, everybody fit an extra small, okay? That's why I love J-Lux. You can snap all up in that. So yes, she did. And I never got to wear it. I was mad.
Did she? And you never got it back. You never got it back. For those of you guys that don't know, so she squeezed herself into your J-Lux label and brought it out your house, and you never got that back. Now, wow, people are bold. People are bold. Now, you also may claim that, and this is for any of you that didn't see the Fox Soul, that there was even a time where you received a text from Porsche saying like, "Oh my God, you're out," and she kind of met up with you, kind of third wheeling. So explain that a little bit more.
We were at this little hookah lounge, and me, Simon, and Jalen, and we were leaving in my security, and we were leaving, and Portia and Shamir were there, and she had called and said, "Girl, I'm here. I just saw you leave. Where y'all headed?" And I said, "Oh, we're about to go to Simon's nightclub." And I was like, y'all can come if you want. She was like, "Yeah, girl, we're not ready to go home, yada yada." I was like, "Come on, let's go." So they came. We met up with them outside. We waited for them outside, so we could all walk in together. And yeah, we hung out that night. Talked about a lot of stuff. Talked about the show. She was giving me pointers and things like that. Yeah, it was. I mean, were we the best of friends? No. Did I feel comfortable enough to have her around in our personal space? Yes.
Did you feel comfortable enough to let her lead the J-Lux outfit that you hadn't even touched? Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's the most glaring thing.
I don't care. I don't care how much it costs, because I was ready to wear that little orange jumpsuit.
Exactly. So you were just like, So there was definitely something where there was comfort. And of course, did you trust her with your life? Of course not. But there was comfort, safe enough, her coming and actually being around her. So this is with filming. Now, when you were filming, I know that you actually said from other interviews that you felt comfortable to kind of come on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Were you familiar with the show? Was Simon familiar with the show and all the cast of characters?
Woo, was he? I have never seen an episode of Housewives before I started filming.
Okay.
I used to do my Instagram lives a lot, especially during quarantine. That's where I really, I felt like I was doing a lot of light work, because I would help battered women, talk to them about, their situations, and, try to help them through things, because I've been through a lot. And so I think that's how they probably found me. So I ended up telling Simon about it, and he was very familiar with the show. I mean, from season 1, like, he was very familiar with the show. I didn't even know who was who. Oh yeah, he's very familiar with the show. I didn't even know who Pussy was or anybody, for that matter. I knew who Candy was, because who doesn't know who Candy is? But I didn't know anything. So yeah, when I was very uncomfortable with doing it, because I mean, look at me. I'm like, I'm damn near an introvert. I'm trying not to be, but like really awkward. So of course, yeah, it was kind of scary. And now I was afraid of it, and now the worst of the worst happened.
So during filming, what was your impression of Portia, and what was Simon's impression of Portia?
I actually told the producers, asked me who would I feel most comfortable with to be a friend of the show, to come on to the show. It's gonna taste like vinegar coming out of my mouth. I said,
Say it. Don't say it.
I said Portia. I did. I was
Oh,
like, out of because I did my research. I watched 2 seasons because I had, like I said, I'd never seen an episode, so I watched 2 seasons to do my homework. Yeah, I told them when they asked me that, I was like, oh, Portia seems more like my type. She's fun, she's bubbly, she's silly, she's loud. She,
yeah.
seems like she's really fun. I feel like it would just be easier for me to click with her. Well, cool. Cut to the first day of filming, and that's when I met her by the pool that everybody remembers.
Now, here's the funny thing. Simon was, how you said, Simon was a show from season one. Once you got accepted onto Real Housewives, you started doing a little bit of research and do 2 seasons because they were like, all right, pick a friend to be coupled up with, and that's we're gonna have to introduce you. So Simon knew so much about the show. What did he have to say about Portia?
Oh yeah. Well, nothing that he ever said. It wasn't just Portia. He said something not so favorable about Portia and one of the other castmates who I'm not gonna name. But yeah, he mentioned the whole thing with her, with his cousin, and he would laugh at her and dog her. It wasn't just her that he was talking badly about, but it's just what people do when they watch reality shows. He was all up and through there, all up and through the business of a lot of people, and so that's what Simon does. He's messy. He knows a lot about a lot of people. So, or he claims to know. So I only know what Simon told me. I could really care less what anybody's doing, but it was just shocking to me that you was talking so poorly about people, and now all of a sudden you want to share your life with them. I don't know.
So the reason I'm asking this question is because I saw you on Soul, and you said, for those of you guys that don't know, there has been a rumor slash rumor that Portia has a car, a Rolls Royce, married to African man, and she also received a Birkin. Now, when I say rumor, Claudia Jordan actually bought it to the show. A few other cast members corroborated that. And at the reunion, I forget what it was, they actually got into an argument, and Claudia said those infamous clapbacks, sue me if you about that life. Spoiler alert, Portia never sued anybody. How did he let you know? Like, again, when he said that it was through his cousin, was it just a flippant remark? Was he talking trash about it? Did he let you know like how she got it?
No, but I'm really green in those areas. But no, he didn't know how she got it. He just said that she slept with his cousin for that Rolls Royce, and he was laughing because it was so old. I don't know what year it is. And then when we watched actually the seasons prior to the one, that's when he mentioned it again, and he said, "Oh, she still has that Rolls Royce, that old thing." Like he was the one that I didn't know anything about what she drove or anything. I'm doing my homework, to be on the show. I didn't know anything. It was just I only mentioned it because it was just interesting to me.
Wow. Okay, that's deep that he's actually with someone that he was really clowning for sleeping with people for bags and cars. So apparently Claudia wasn't the only one. Seems like her information's checking out. But this is another thing. Let's segue into this. When did you actually find out about Portia? Was your spidey sense tingling? Like, when did you find out about Portia?
About Portia? What do you mean? When they were together?
So the Portia and Simon were together. Or did you have any clues that Portia was kind of seeing Simon? Did you find out the rest of us? Did you find out earlier? When did you find out that Portia and Simon were up to no good?
I mean, I found out about the whole engagement the same time as everyone else. I was just as in shock. I didn't even know that they were seeing each other. However, I did know that Simon, while he was away, for those couple of months that he was with people, with somebody, because I wouldn't talk to him, you know? So, um, whether or not it
No,
was, I don't know.
when you say that you knew Simon was with other people, even though you guys were going to marriage counseling, did you guys have an agreement that like, okay, we're going to be separated, we'll try to work on that? I mean, were both of you guys allowed to see other people, or are you just assuming that he was with other people?
Were we both allowed to see other people? If that were the case, this man wouldn't have come out and lied on my character the second I said, well, check the deuces to you too. Hell no, I wasn't allowed.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay.
No, we didn't have an open marriage. We did not. He left. We were going through, you know, our stuff in couples, uncoupling. It went from coupling therapy to uncoupling therapy, back to couples therapy, back to uncoupling. Like when I say, I've said this several times in interviews before, there was a lot of back and forth. So if I went down the whole timeline of everything verbatim, it would just be confusing because it was like, yes, I love you today. And then it's like tomorrow it's like, where are you at? And it's like, oh, well, I guess we aren't cool, you know, today. It was a lot of back and forth. However, no, we did not have an open marriage.
Got you. Okay. And again, with the back and forth, again, this is just from what I know from people I know that have been couples therapy. That's what it is. You know, being in couples therapy is that commitment to try to work it out. But depending on what session is, sometimes you leave in the car and go get a drink, and other times, no, you both have to be escorted out with security. So that's the way couple therapy is sometimes. But you found out around the time with the rest of us, there was an interesting thing I do remember that you unfollowed Portia on the Mother's Day post. Now, remember on the Mother's Day post, for those of you guys listening, you probably remember they posted that picture where Portia had her hand on Simon's chest. A lot of Portia stands were like, you guys are being ridiculous. That is clearly her mother's boyfriend. Let it go. You guys are disgusting, you know. And then we heard later, a few days later, that they were actually engaged. So why did you unfollow her? If you found out that they were together at the same time everybody else did, why did you unfollow her when you saw that picture of her on her hand on the chest?
Well, first and foremost, this was when I had already moved out of the house. So I was in my own home when I found out. The last thing I wanted to see was the man that I'm trying to get over and move forward from on my timeline when I wake up in the morning. That's first and foremost.
Okay.
That was first and foremost. Secondly, it just gave me weird vibes. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't think that they were engaged. You know, I understand people were pointing out the ring or whatever, but you know, people wear rings on that finger all the time. I really didn't think it was anything. And it just gave me weird vibes.
I thought that was Miss Diane's boyfriend. I'll be honest with you. I thought she was being nice to her new stepdaddy. I had no idea either. So.
Yeah, like it just gave me weird vibes. That's all. And I'm like, ew, this is just
okay. So again, this tracks what you're saying. Okay, that's completely understandable. So you just, of course, you don't want to see his face. You thought it was weird because you're like, I didn't even know you guys were that cool. And then when they announced their engagement, that's when you were like, oh, that's not Miss Diane's boyfriend. You make an interesting point that you say that you were already out the house. We know that the engagement and that picture happened around the week of Mother's Day, which is the week of May 9th, right? So, but you say that you were already out the home. Now, at this point, from your timeline, Simon was gone for 2 months. He returned around the end of March, beginning of April. But you guys, for whatever reason, going through the couples therapy, had kind of decided toward the end of the couples therapy to separate. When did you guys completely finish couples therapy? Was it toward the beginning of April, end of April? Do you remember when couple therapy kind of stopped?
Yep, it was the end of April. The last thing, Simon and I have not spoken to each other directly since all of this. The last time I spoke to Simon was via text message, and we had come up with a joint statement that we were going to release to announce our divorce to the public.
Mm-hmm.
He had his own statement. I had taken his statement and tweaked it myself. I'm just a stronger writer than him. So, or whoever wrote it up for him. So I rewrote it and sent it back to him, and he said that it was perfect. No, we hopped on FaceTime after that, and he said that it was perfect. And that was going to be the joint statement. Simon and I were very cool. Everything was copacetic. We were both hurting because it's divorce at the end of the day. Regardless if we both wanted to or not, it still sucks and it still hurts, and the children are still affected regardless of the details. But we were moving forward with the divorce, and we went to therapy, and after that we left. It was uncoupling therapy. We left, and 20 minutes later, after he found out that I was, no, I'm sorry, therapy was not in person this time. It was over the phone. But after he found out that, after he had already moved on, I moved out of the house, everything. We were not together. He found out that I was seeing someone else. 2 weeks later is when the engagement came about. So it was just all.
I'm sorry, come on.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it was just all really weird, because our relationship between one another at that time was it was copacetic. We were still cool. We were still friends. And then he found out that I was moving on, and it was like, big fuck you. And then he posted I didn't even know that he posted it. We said that we were going to post it at the same time. I didn't even know. I only knew because people were tagging me in his post. Then he posted the original statement that he made on his own. And then right after he posted his, I was like, okay. So then I posted mine, the one that I wrote. So
that's everybody's privacy, saying you're just focused on finalizing your divorce.
No, this was announcing our divorce. When I posted, I was focusing on healing and finalizing my divorce. That's literally what I meant. Regardless of all the craziness going on, that was after the engagement came out that I posted that. And I literally meant that. I just wanted to heal and move on. But it goes back to why I'm doing all of this in the first place, because I realize I haven't given anybody much of a timeline. I've kept a lot of things to myself, and another man has come out and tried to write my narrative. And it's one thing to be still. It's another thing that I had to learn to be bullied. And I can't keep, because it keeps coming up. It doesn't matter what I try to do, and I can breathe, and people are like, oh, but Simon and Porsche. And I'm like, shit, I just need to put this out there and just put it behind me, so that me and my family can move on and my relationship can flourish.
Okay, so just to kind of put things, looking at the comments, and I actually want to kind of put this into focus. So Simon left you once. He left you with the kids. He barely checked on anyone for whatever reason. We know, if you watch Expose Part 3, I provide receipts about what Simon was doing with his whole bag, pun intended, for 2 months. For 2 months, we know what Simon was doing from the receipts. Go watch them for yourself. Now, the thing is, you guys were still in couples therapy, so there was a back and forth. and you guys were trying to see if you work it out. Now, if I can understand what you're saying, around the beginning of April, you guys came to the decision that it just wasn't going to work. Things were so amicable, right? About, okay, this marriage is probably going to dissolve, that you actually, Simon wrote the announcement for the divorce. He had already moved on with other people. He didn't care what you did. You're not his problem anymore. Things were so amicable, and you were trying to keep things so mature for the children that you actually rewrote his statement. Because if anybody's been on Simon's feed, you know Simon and his words, right? So you rewrote it so it sounded like something legible, right? And you guys both agreed to release a joint statement. It sounds super nice. It sounds super even. And regardless, it seems like what we on the outside knew, you and Simon had come to the decision that it is over. And again, for those of you guys that don't know how divorce works, you can agree to dissolve the marriage. You still need a judge to come and put the stamp on it and say marriage resolved. So when you say that the divorce is not final till November, I see a few of you guys in the comments saying that. This is true, but they had already agreed to dissolve the marriage. This is one of the reasons I think Porsche and Simon thought they were clever by saying, you know, their divorce has already been settled. But if I understand you, Simon was fine to have the divorce, amicable. You were trying to just find some peace. But then when Simon found out that you were actually dating someone, you say that he's a super big celebrity and he is far above Simon's alleged status, right? The status that he puts out, he's even well above that. When Simon heard that, that's when the green-eyed monster came in, and 2 weeks later, he popped up. 2 weeks later, he popped up engaged to Porsche. But what's even more, he literally, after you guys agreed to release a joint statement, he moved unilaterally and released his own statement to make you, this is just me, I think he did it to make you look really, really bad, and to kind of, I don't know, because we didn't know that you were dating somebody back then, but is that timeline kind of accurate with how you guys agreed to move on?
Correct.
You both know the marriage was over, and then he came striking back because maybe like he, maybe insecurity, maybe jealousy at the stature of man that you're able to move on with.
Right. This timeline's very correct. Where it got even messier. And this is what I wanted people to really pay close attention to, you know, because of the narrative we put out there. Right after that post of our initial post of our divorce, he then went live. I don't know if anybody can recall that he went live. Never once did he, in that live, did he say, I'm leaving my wife because she cheated on me with Jalen and she's pregnant by him. Never once did he say that. When did he actually come out and say that? He actually came out and said that only after I released the trailer to my interview.
Oh.
So you get what I'm saying? That was in June.
I get what you're saying.
That's why I didn't say anything in that interview about that. I never addressed it in there because he didn't say it until after I had already filmed the interview. So now there's a new lie that I now have to defend myself, you know. And the reason why it's so hurtful is because we were cool. We were fine. The only reason why we're not fine is because I said no and I was walking away. That's why all of this has been so upsetting.
It's funny you say that, and I actually want to talk. I don't want to spring anything to you, but I'll talk until you're comfortable with it. One of the reasons why I started investigating things is because there's something in what Simon was accusing you of that didn't make any sense, and part of that had to do with Jalen. There was a time frame between March 23rd, April 23rd, that Jalen could not have been around. Do you mind if I speak on that? This is really what made me think like Simon is full of it. Do you mind if I speak on that quickly?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, so you guys, I've been holding this tea in, but I like to have verified sources, and I don't like to, put anybody in uncomfortable situations. But what I knows I'm referring to is Jalen was actually incarcerated from March 23rd to April 23rd. all the times that Simon was saying that Jalen was doing the Labata with Fallon in the door or whatever, he wasn't even around. Now, just to let you guys know, he was arrested for a previous incident that had happened in his teenage years. He thought it was behind him. It wasn't anything serious. I mean, well, you know, it was a DUI, but it happened as a teenager. You know, I wish we could all say, yeah, I wish we could all say we were perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to judge anybody. Thank God nobody was hurt. That's fine. But in that time frame, Simon was, how did it make you feel to know somebody was dragging your reputation all up and down the street for someone that was physically impossible to do?
Honestly, it sucks. You know, it's hurtful, especially when it comes from, you know, my mom used to always say this, and I know you guys have heard it before too. You never know who you were with until you're no longer together. And so, yeah, that came true with all of this. I honestly felt more sorry for Jalen, because he hasn't even been able to really defend himself, you know, for my sake, for my own mental space, and being able to, you know, pick up all the pieces. He's been very quiet, and essentially, I'm not the only person that Simon has been trying to drag, you know, it's been him too. And so, it just really sucks, that I'm the cause for that in someone's life, you know?
Definitely, definitely. That actually brings me to, tell me about the aftermath, right? Because, you know, from what again, I don't know you. This is the first time we've ever talked, but from what I live on the street, tell me about Atlanta. Everybody has great things to say about you. You seem to keep a small circle. There's nobody that doubts your love for your kids. Like, nobody has anything besides Sama Gabadia, right? And we don't know, whatever. But nobody else has anything disparaging bad to say about you. So with that, I always wondered when I was doing my research, because you keep it such a small circle, what was like the aftermath like? Like, after you got that, excuse me, humiliation of him showing up with someone that was cool enough to be wearing your J-Lux label, you know, your J-Lux label. You guys, J-Lux label has the best athleisure wear, but they were cool enough to wear your athleisure wear that you didn't even get a chance to get, right? And meeting up, you and your husband, at the hookah bar. What was that aftermath like? Like, what did your friends say? What did your family say?
Some of my family, we got stronger. Some of my family don't talk to me at all. The friends, I still have my little clique of friends. I only have 2 friends, but I've always only had 2 friends. But the associates, the well-known associates, you know, everyone who knew Simon and I, you know, as a married couple. I mean, our mutual friends, our married friends, everybody has pretty much shunned me and has believed every single word that has come out of Simon's mouth. But you know, I was with Simon for 5 years. I've seen a lot of people do a lot worse for a check, or to just be able to be around somebody with wealth. For me, it was a job, but and I didn't like it. But yeah, I've seen worse. So it didn't necessarily hurt because I kind of already knew it was going to happen. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you said you had to leave the house, like, even with the aftermath, you had like what, 30 days to get out of the house. I know he said that he had bought a house that you guys were living in. What was that?
No, I actually
because it's showing 2 kind of.
Yeah, no, I actually had 15 days to leave the house. It's stated in my prenup that I had 30 days to vacate or something like that. Simon was trying to fight for me to leave sooner than that.
Right. He was trying to get you out quicker than the prenup even said. He wanted you out in 15 days.
Right. But the problem with that was I didn't have the best of credit. I didn't really know to like fix my credit like that, while I was married. That was my fault. I shouldn't have been so complacent, ladies, get your credit up. Make sure you work on your credit. Yeah. So it was going to be hard for me to find a place in 15 days. And I was really stressed out. To the point where I was telling the therapist, like, I'm stressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. Simon wants me out of here and I don't know. I have my kids. I don't know what I'm going to do. And because my credit won't get me approved for much. And the therapist actually ended up getting involved in begging Simon to give me more time and to abide by whatever the prenup said. And guys, I'm not what's the proper term? Legally savvy. It's not even, I don't even know if I said that correctly, but yeah, I really didn't. I was so stressed out that I didn't even know what my options were at that time, even talking to my attorney. My attorney saying, he wants to change this, he wants to change that, he wants you gone in this amount of time. And, my attorney was trying to do as much as he could, but guess who has to pay her own attorney's fees? Me. And
Well, he didn't even pay.
I didn't have any money yet. I didn't have, he was pushing me into a corner. And I couldn't get in the air. So it got to a point where the therapist was begging him pretty much, to not just leave me out there like that. So what we ended up agreeing upon was we had a couple agreements and then he reneged on them. Finally, we came up on one. I'm like, listen, do you want me out of here? Yes or no? If you want me out of here, help me out. You want me out of here in 15 days, get me out of here, So he was like, fine. I found a townhouse. I did all the searching myself, me and my friend. She's a realtor, thank God. And we found a place, a little townhouse. He did pay up my rent for a year. He did do that.
Wait, rental? Or he said he bought it for you? Did he buy that place or?
No. He rented it.
Surprise. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, he got it for a year. So then it could kind of bypass my credit thing. My credit's now good. My credit's better now.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah. So hence why I moved the fuck out of there. Because I just didn't want to be, once I was capable of, I didn't want to be attached to that place anymore. I left the money. I never asked for them to give the money back that Simon picked up for a year.
What?
I didn't try to get the money back from the rental. I just left.
Did you really? No,
Yeah.
so it's funny thing. I see in the comments, I just want to address it, asking like, well, where was Jalen? But like I just told you guys, Jalen was not available. He was in Sing Sing. Shout out to Karen Huger. So this is another reason why at this time you were incredibly isolated and incredibly alone. And you had somebody that at that time was presenting very powerful and very rich, and you were kind of at his mercy, it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. You said that everybody kind of took Simon's side, right? You were like forced to leave in the house. What, like, did your friends turn against you? Like, what did that look like? Like, who was actually in your corner helping you during this time?
Well, Jalen wasn't there. And my best friend, she's married and she has her own thing. So I'm not the type of person to go running to people, with my issues. I always feel like I can handle everything myself. Taurus. Taurus. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I was pretty much doing everything on my own. I never really got a chance. The first time the first time I ever grieved, like for real, the first time I was ever really able to come up for air for a second, unfortunately, it was during my interview. And that's why I sound so like slow and trying to think and breathe. I was trying not to fucking choke, because I hadn't even spoken about anything out loud yet. And it got to the point where I even had to fire the therapist. I couldn't talk to her anymore. It was
Why
just
is that? Do you mind sharing?
one, I felt like, and this could just be me, but I felt like it was Simon's way of like keeping tabs on me through her. He was the one paying for her. She's not cheap. Yeah. So, and I really just wanted to break away, so I got to a point where I was just doing everything on my own, which is why you guys saw that I was so quiet and why I wasn't telling the timeline that I am today. I just couldn't mentally handle it. I couldn't be a mom and provide for my children and get them a new home and get them settled and try to make sure that they're not affected, as best as possible. And also grieve and, be there for the public and be able to tell my side of the story. And now I don't even get to tell really my side of the story. I'm here to defend myself and my character. It's all been a big shit show. And the fact that I've moved on, he's moved on, and I still have to defend myself, because of lies. It's all just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, again, honestly, from the outside looking in, the timing of him getting engaged to Porsche, if we didn't know what we want, it looked like he was trying to kind of like you back. But taking you back to, and I'm sorry to keep taking you to this painful place, but when you said you separate, common friends kind of weren't there because they all took Simon's side. Maybe it's because he had more money. Maybe it's because they were, like you said, you've seen people do odd things. And, Simon a very, from what my research shows, watch the episode, watch my trilogy if you haven't seen it, but from what I see, he has a very tenuous relationship with the truth. We'll just say that. The truth and Simon do not get along most times, right? When you separated families, how is it separating from Simon's family? Like, how did that go? You were together for 5 years. Did you know Simon's family?
Simon doesn't have a very close relationship with his family. So not necessarily. Some of them, yes. The only ones that he would ever really, be around are his children, the older two. Which you guys have really pretty much read about them in the blogs and things like that. But outside of that, the only ones I really that I was brokenhearted about and I had to explain myself to were the two younger boys. And they didn't really understand, which was the hardest part about it all, which is the main reason why I think a lot of people got my interview confused with my emotions and, why I was so emotional. I wasn't emotional about Simon and Portia's engagement. Like I said, I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. That's not my place to say that. But I was hurt because the kids, and, I'm not their mommy anymore. I was there when the youngest was 4. They're now taller than me, so I was the one who was there, and that is, and they have a very, very, very close bond with my children. And that alone, I mean, that's hard to break apart. We're breaking our family apart, and that sucks. And So when people are sitting there saying like, "Oh, you were emotional for nothing in the interview," it wasn't about Simon. Like I loved him, yes, but it was about our children and everything else, going into it. The children having social media and seeing all of this, and there's no regard for them at all, and me as their
Wow.
mother trying to protect them from this, I can't, so.
So you said that you had a close relationship to his two youngest sons. His older son and daughter, did you have a close relationship with them? And his youngest daughter, did you have a close relationship with her?
I don't want to talk about his youngest daughter.
Okay.
Yes, at a point in time, yes. But there's always other parents involved, so I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, but the older son, yeah, him and I were cool. Yeah.
Okay. And what about his oldest daughter? Was she around her?
Well, what you guys read about her is pretty accurate, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Oh, really? That's interesting to know. For those of you guys that don't know, I believe that for Sunday Omni, she did an expose we saw that said that Simon's daughter wants nothing to do with them. She thinks she's super, super toxic. And I believe her birthday was actually the 19th of July. I didn't see Simon wish her a happy birthday. Again, I don't want to get into familial relations. I know it's a touchy subject, but it doesn't seem like she messes with him. What about Simon's mother? I know his father passed away, but what can you tell us about the making of Simon, the type of family he came from? I know that he came out saying that he came from like a very wealthy Nigerian oil family that had a generational family business. I think is the some petroleum company. That's the website. Do you tell us a little bit about his family?
I've never seen. I don't know where that comes from, but not that I know. That's not what I've known. Simon does not come from a wealthy family at all. He takes care of his parents, his dad before he passed away. But he takes care of them.
Okay.
He doesn't have much of a relationship with his family at all, but he does his part for them
Okay.
for his mother.
Let me question. Have you ever been to Nigeria?
No, he only went there once, and that's when his father passed.
When you guys usually okay, you guys went there once. What about when you traveled? I mean, there was a lot of going that Simon has a lot going on. At least that's what Portia told us, that she has properties everywhere. And that we're together for 5 years. Again, who knows what anybody has, but in your eyes of when you were a wife, do you recall seeing any properties overseas, any that was owned overseas besides vacation rentals?
No. We've never. No. The only properties we owned were our homes that you guys know of, our Miami condo, and he's had a couple of flips, like real estate investments where he flipped some things, things like that. But no.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, I just wanted to just go over a few things. Ooh, right? I wanted to go over a few things. Again, when you said that people actually had questions, I saw in the comments, and you can answer what you want, of course, but they had comments about when you said you were looking after Simon's children while he was away. Explain the relationship between the boy's mom, how that worked out. Were you guys explain that to us?
No, we were co-parents. I mean, his ex-wife was great. I mean, we had a great relationship. We had they have an arrangement of week on, week off. But we homeschooled all of the children together from our home every day, every weekday. So I still had them every single day. And so anything that I needed or that she needed from the boys, we would just co-parent between the two of us.
Okay, so then this, I understand now. So this tracks with what you're saying, that even though Simon left the house for 2 months with his whole bag, you guys still kept, you were for Simon, so they still kept, I don't want to say her name, but her second wife and you guys still kept the same routine, taking the same pattern that would have been there whether Simon was there or not, you kept up. Okay, so that makes sense on how, even though the boy's mom was around, you were still the co-parent and you still took them. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
absolutely.
All right. Now, you did a thing about like not, and I just have to ask, because a lot of people are asking, you stayed quiet for a long while. And I do remember specifically when things blew up, and I thought it was because he was just trying to hurt you. I really didn't think he was going to take things seriously with Portia. But it does seem like you were quiet for a while, and people were thinking that maybe people were making threats towards you. I know that cease and desist were flying everywhere. Were there anything said to you or your family or friends that caused you to be like, you know what, I'm just going to be in my own little island?
Yeah, at some point in time, I had learned that my best friend received a phone call from Simon that was it a phone call or a text message? I think it was both. That he was like texting her and then called her. I have the text, but I think they spoke as well on the phone. That if I had said anything, he said that specifically, this is what he said. Right after they came out with the engagement, and I posted what I posted about, me just needing to heal. I just want to heal and just, focus on finalizing my divorce. After I posted that, he then called my best friend, telling her that if I had said anything, and I better not say anything, because if so, he's going to release a video stating that I cheated on him with Jalen, and that I don't know. He said, I don't know what Portia is going to do to her. That is just, I don't know and no, he said, I don't know what Portia is going to do to her, and I can't do anything about it. Whatever Portia wants to do is what she's going to do.
Slow this down. So let me get this straight. Simon released, to make sure I understand, because you just gave a lot of information. Simon released his statement out ahead of when you guys both agreed to jointly tell the world that you would dissolve the marriage, right? You then called up and issued your statement. He then reached out to your best friend and said that he was going to kind of ruin your reputation with the video of you and Jalen. And also, he doesn't know what Portia is going to do to you.
Right, but this was not in response to the divorce message, the divorce post. This was in response to the post after I posted about their engagement, because everybody kept tagging me and showing me, every day. And I posted saying, I just want to focus on healing and finalizing my divorce. That's it. And was that.
Wow. Okay, so that's his response to you, the message you guys all remember when she said, I just want to focus on healing and getting through the next stages. I do remember that message, not those exact words, but I remember the message. That's when he called your best friend and called, text message, maybe did both. And one said he had a video of you in jail and he was going to ruin your reputation. Also, he can't control what Portia's going to do. Now I have 2 questions. One, what video is he talking about? And second of all,
him walking inside the house. The video of him walking inside of the house.
That's the video he's referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought he had you with some sex lies and videotape stuff. I was like, what? Yeah. So he was threatening to use. Okay.
Yes, and that he released it with the narrative of that I cheated on him with Jalen. And of course, everybody would believe his word over mine. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, he was getting a jump. What do you think he meant by?
I didn't say anything, even in response to when my friend called me up and she told me what was going on. I still didn't say anything. I still didn't go out and, you know, do anything or whatever. But it got to a point where all of these things were popping up. You know, he was just doing lives. I think he did one more live trying to say that I cheated, or no, he didn't say I cheated. He was like, he was just she didn't know how to create boundaries or something like that on one of his lives. So then it got to a point where, you know, now it's bullying. It went from, you know, being still to now it's bullying. And I can't just, even though I'm hurting and I'm going through all of this, I can't just keep letting somebody write my narrative and just keep allowing them to treat me this way. You know, that's not what I stand for. So I did the interview just to, you know, I really did that interview to shut things up and shut it down. I really didn't. I wanted to ignore it all and not get into this, you know, the details of it all. But when somebody now comes back, now he didn't even see the interview yet. He hadn't even seen the interview. And the second he saw the clip of the trailer, then he released the video and the narrative of that I cheated. And look, he's walking into the side of the house. All of these things. I wish my phone wasn't dead. I'll show you. I still have the cameras. Like, I have access to all of that. You know, it's just, yeah. So now it's more important. It's important for me now to be able to just speak my truth about it, because, you know, somebody lied on me and I kind of have to.
I mean, it's shocking to me that he, first of all, even stepped out of bounds to call your best friend to issue threats to you and to threaten him. What's that?
It was my family. It wasn't just my best friend. It was my family too. I mean, he's anyone that he had access to and who would listen, he called.
He called them, but what he was going to use to show the world to kill your reputation was a video of basically Jalen walking to make sure the house is secure. Because if you guys are joining late, Simon had left the house for 2 months. From what I understand, they had an attempted break-in. And it wasn't just Jalen. Fallon invited everybody in her family and friends that could come stay there. So they were all at the house. And he was aware of this. And he literally, it's almost like it was very, to me, very, very calculating. Like, he was looking. He had a playbook and he was like, okay, I need to say that, you know, Fallon eats babies, and he's waiting for the moment you like pop a Sour Patch Kid in your mouth. And he's like, I got her. And now he's releasing videos saying that you're down with like genocide. It seems just very, very calculating that from the gate, he knew everything he was saying was untrue because he had the correct information. Now, take a step back also in that same conversation. What do you think he meant when he said, you know, he can't help what Porsche's going to do, or something to that effect?
I still don't know to this day. To this day, I still don't know.
Yeah, really odd statements. I'm glad you didn't take it as a threat, but if it was me and I had something like that, I literally, you're like, come on now.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, but to me, I would expect that as a threat. Like, oh, really? But, you know, Fallon hit her with the, you know, I'm Fallon Pinna smirk. So, okay. All right. Yours, queen. You're like, we're good over here. Okay. So you didn't take it as a threat, but he was trying to throw whatever he could out. Let's see. What else can I ask you? The prenup, right? You guys had an ironclad, well, I don't know if it's ironclad. I haven't actually seen the prenup, allegedly. But tell us a little bit about that prenup. So this is one of the reasons why I think you guys felt the marriage was dissolved, because you guys had already split up assets and you already had agreements at how custody would be split. So all that was left was, or is that not accurate?
Yeah, no, I mean, everything kind of was already spelled out for us. So It was really just the only thing that was left was me moving. Yeah, the prenup, from what you guys saw, it's very accurate.
Okay, so the prenup, for those of you guys that don't know, the prenup basically said you get 2 payments of $50,000. And I think that's pretty much it, right? There's a property, you guys split the assets, and you're getting your payment for whatever that asset is in payments. Is that accurate, or?
I was supposed to get the Mount Parent house as well, but he lied and said that I was going to be on that, but he didn't actually put me on there, so on the deed. So, and the prenup didn't have any clause for that. Although the first house, he moved into that and then moved me into it soon after he bought it. The Mount Parent house was the house that I built. I was the one who designed everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was that one was kind of like a ow. But at the same time, it's like, fuck you. I'll get a bigger Mount Parent.
Girl, you got all in the chat saying that to Simon, like, Jesus Christ. You know, in the words of Erica De Niro, please, y'all, if anybody messes with Simon Gabadia, read the Yelp reviews, right? I give 0 stars if I could. That's Simon's Yelp reviews right now. So listen, let's roll things away, because I know that you guys are still involved in, the divorce to be completely finalized. So, we'll wait to see how things pan out with that. Questions. When you guys were in therapy, was there ever a chance that, or a time where he was really trying to egg you on? And this is the therapy that we were involved in during the 2 months he was gone. Was there ever a time you really thought he was making a sincere effort to reconcile, or a time that really struck you as he was in it to win it?
Yeah, well, to the best of his ability, sure. When I wouldn't, let's see, he would try, but it was like there was never an apology issued for anything that he had ever done. We have had a lot of issues in the course of 5 years. Okay, a lot of things that I have forgiven for. But when it got to a point where I would bring these things up, and those old emotions in therapy would always come raging out because I never received an apology. I'm just always having to be the bigger person and say, you know what? I know you're sorry. And then once it all comes back up again in therapy, and it's like, say you're sorry. If you're truly sorry, apologize and truly mean it. And it's like, for his answers are like, for what? Like things like that. Yeah, I think that was the best of his ability. I think he did the best that he could. It just would never have been enough for me.
Yeah, that's important. No, it definitely sounds like you tried. Do you feel like this work maybe played a role in the stress of the relationship and whatnot?
Maybe. He never really talked about his work. I would be there. I would hear it. Sometimes he'd be stressed about it. He would always say oil prices going up, going down, or something like that, but nothing to the point where it was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because, of all the receipts that I'm receiving in my DMs, I truly don't know who I was married to. I don't know.
That's actually okay. Let me ask you a few questions then. Did Simon work from home? Did you ever see business partners come through? Did he leave out the house in the day? Did he have a 9 to 5? What did his work days look like? Was he a very, very busy person that you never saw because he was always in, tell us, what does his work day look like?
Simon worked from home. He had an office in the home. When he's working, even when he's in the house, he's not really in the house. He's mentally checked out. Like he's not there. He'd get up at 7 a.m. and he'd finish around 7 p.m. And then after work, we would go out and drink. That's another big reason why I realized I had to leave. I drank a lot in that marriage because he loved to drink, and drinking was his thing. Partying was his thing. And it got to a point where I was drinking a lot too. Almost every day I was drinking. And the second I decided to leave, I remember asking my assistant, I said, why don't I drink so much anymore? And she said, because you're happy. And that's when it clicked for me again. Like, yeah, it's time for me to go.
I'm glad that you definitely found happiness, like definitely. And actually, I mean, it seems so real, but we all get in relationships where we double guess each other. It seems so real that you're with somebody for 5 years and you see them going into a room, they maybe take phone calls, but you don't actually know what they do. Their business is kind of always a mystery, but you know, and you hear people say stuff up and down, but at the same time, there's all these problems. Yeah, it seems like a really complicated situation, and especially if it had you drinking so much. And you said Simon's a very heavy drinker, so yeah, I guess it was just stress all around.
Yeah.
Do you think that in the filming he started to change? Maybe he started to enjoy your celebrity a lot, maybe started enjoying, you said he likes to party a lot. He took a lot of pride in having a wife that was on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Do you think that was the situation?
No, I think he hated it. I think, you know, I'll give you an example. I told him, you know, I don't know how to make a Wikipedia, or am I supposed to do it? Does Google do it? I don't know how any of this stuff works. So I told him, you know, he had hired me a publicist and things like that, you know, things that are necessary. She wasn't really getting me anywhere. She wasn't doing much, but she came through him. So that was weird, you know, that she's hired and he's paying her, but she wasn't doing much. And then he said that, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to get you a Wikipedia done. I'm working on it now. I kept saying, I'm working on it. And then he's like, oh, I made a Wikipedia, and he made himself one. He wasn't even on the show like that. Like, it's just incidences like that, you know, things like that I was going through with him. It's like, then he was trying to get verified through Instagram after I was verified. It was just like things that I didn't really look for. I didn't know what came with it all, but he was ready for it all. Like, he had this whole thing figured out for himself, and he was ready. So, yeah, no, when all of the attention came onto me and not him, I feel like, yeah, he hated it. That's just my opinion.
So if I understand what you're saying, right, even though he encouraged you to be on Housewives, it seems like when your star started to rise and maybe flips him, or he became Fallon's husband instead of Simon, you know, instead of you being Simon's wife, that he actually wasn't really down with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And you said he actually was instrumental in creating like the bios, all the online information available. Like, he was the one that set all those pieces in place.
Yeah, he did. I remember one time
I misunderstand.
I was supposed to, for example, another thing, it was my first big magazine spread. I was so excited about it. It was supposed to be me and him together, like, as, you know, the dynamic duo couple, right, in this Atlanta magazine. Oh, I was so excited. And they had specifically asked for him. And then he was like, can I throw in my wife? And they were like, oh my God, yes. We would love to have you both. Yes, absolutely. 2 for 1, la la la. We did the photo shoot. Had the photographer come through the house. We did the joint photo shoot together. Everything was so great. Everything was set up. And I forget, maybe 3 weeks or so when the magazine came out, when it dropped, we were in the air. I'll never forget it. We were in the air, and he posted something on his story, something like that, and he was laughing and talking about it with our friends. We landed. I'm looking like, oh, I'll find out what it was. So we landed, and I go on my Instagram, and it is the magazine spread of just him. He had me cut from the magazine and didn't even tell me. He posted it. He was so excited and so proud of himself and had me cut from the magazine. And I asked him, I said, and it's crazy because I said, what was this? He was like, oh, you and I got into it. We got into a fight one time. So I told him to cut you from the magazine. I was like, because we got into an argument? And he was like, yeah,
Wow.
there'll be more. And the person that suggested to him in the beginning of all of it, I caught them on the phone talking about it, but he had checked her in front of me. She didn't know that she was on speaker. The person that suggested to him to do the magazine by himself and to exclude me was my publicist that he hired for me.
What? So the person, see, he didn't know you're on speakerphone, but your publicist was the one moving against you. But it sounds like everybody in your life, Simon was paying, and they were all loyal to him.
Even the fucking
Well, that was so incredibly stressful. Like, you couldn't trust anybody.
That was my whole life. The only people that I could trust was my 2 best friends, because they were the only people who couldn't be bought.
Wow. They were the only people that bought. I have to wonder in all that, it seems like, again, there were ups and downs in the marriage. I have to ask you, and tell me if you're comfortable talking about, how exactly did you and Simon actually meet?
How did we meet?
I mean, again, love is blind, but how did you guys actually meet? Like, what was the nexus that actually blew him into your life?
We had a mutual party, and they were like, oh my gosh, you would be perfect for my girlfriend, yada yada. I lived in LA at the time, and she called me up and she was like, you gotta meet this guy. Like, he is you, like, all day. Like, you gotta meet this guy. And I was like, yeah, okay. I just got back from Atlanta like a couple of days ago. So I was like, I just got back. No, I'm not going out to Atlanta. However, my sister lived in Miami, and I was planning on going to see my sister anyway at some point in time. So I can go there and just see my sister, and he can meet me there or whatever. So that's what happened. He was like, okay. He went there the next day. I flew there. He went there, and we had lunch. And yeah, we couldn't shut up. We bonded over cafe con leche, and just, we hashed it out. We were inseparable ever since.
So there was definitely connection. Because to me, what you described with the magazine is just straight up jealousy. Take out a relationship. If that was a woman that had done that to me, I'd have been like fairly jealous of me, because you're literally getting me cut from magazine articles, not the main draw. During your relationship, did you ever feel like he was jealous, or did that come in once the Real Housewives started and people wanted Fallon, not necessarily her 60-something-year-old husband?
When I say I was green in this whole scenario, because who looks at their significant other that way? I never wanted to him that way. So jealous at that time? No. Now, yes. But then no, absolutely not. But all of these things, and that was another frustrating thing that we would discuss in therapy. I would always get so worked up, and I didn't understand why I would get so worked up about this, but I would always say, every idea that I throw out, he wants to take it for himself. He would always take my ideas, take it as his own, and then tell everybody that he came up with this idea, but it was mine. But I didn't have the finances,
Really?
experience, and the team to take it off the ground. And so he did. So he would just take any and everything that I would say or do and try to capitalize off of it, and not even give me any pride. It would have been it would have been such a big difference had he been like, oh my gosh, I have the best wife ever. She's the brains behind the operation. She thinks for this family, she's smart. She's this, she's that. This is what she's done for our family, and she had this idea or that idea. And I received like a thank you or something, toot my horn, you're my man, toot my horn. I received nothing. It was always like, I could be like, oh my God, like, let's come up with this invention. And, it can be a vacuum cleaner that you carry around with you and you can just latch it to your arm or something crazy like that. And he'll go around and say, I came up with this idea of a vacuum cleaner where you can latch it to your arm all the time within the course of 5 years. So all of these things came up when I got to a point where I was able to, when I was able to stand my own ground. I told the therapist during one of those sessions, I told her, I said, she asked me, do you believe that Simon loves you? And I said, I believe that Simon fell in love with a little girl. And when I grew to be a woman, he's having an issue with that now.
Wow. That's so powerful. And I know you've been on for so long. I have a few more questions and I'll let you go. But that was such a powerful, powerful statement. You mentioned, that little girl, and little girls are often inseparable from like their parents if it's you wanted a very paternal relationship. I'm sorry, inseparable. And you mentioned that you guys were inseparable. One thing that always took me out of my head was what did you think, or how did he come to the girls trip on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Because I know production edits things, but I remember on that girls trip, I think it was Cynthia's bachelorette party. And I was just like, what in the world is Simon doing on the girls trip? Can you explain how that came to be, him actually being there?
Yeah, he said that I wasn't going to travel with women that I didn't know. And that he wasn't going to allow me be placed in an environment where we knew nothing of. I didn't know the camera crew. I didn't know any of the castmates except for Porsche from that one time. I didn't feel comfortable. Honestly, I didn't. Regardless of whether it's work or not, I don't know you people. So I'm not going to put my livelihood in your hands. No. And not to mention, nobody walked me through what was going to happen. It was just kind of like, come on, we're packing up, everybody, we're going on a girls trip. They didn't even tell me what to wear. Like, production was all over the place. It was just like, let's go. I didn't know who was coming. I didn't know anything, and yeah. So from what Simon told me, it was to protect me. But he ended up getting us a Sprinter to drive down there on our own, and he got us a house next door to where they were filming. We were right next door. Yeah. And yeah.
Okay. And, when you said you guys are inseparable, was Simon a fan of the St. Regis in Atlanta?
That's his stomping grounds.
Is really?
Oh,
Y'all,
yeah.
the St. Regis in Atlanta is Simon's stomping grounds.
That's where he would
Okay,
put
that was
when that's where he put me when I would come and visit him when we first started dating because I lived in LA. He would put me in the St. Regis. Yeah.
that was you guys when you guys were first dating. So Simon uses that. Okay. So when you guys first started dating, you would meet up with Simon at the St. Regis, and he would get you a hotel room or whatever for as long as you were staying in town.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Very interesting to go. Just two more questions, and then I'll let you go. So we know what Simon thought of Portia. He was sleeping with the cousin. You never met the cousin that Simon alleged that she slept with the car, did you?
I don't think so. I meet a lot of people, and I'm always looking at Jalen like, who's that? So, I forget a lot of people that I meet, but I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. So you don't. Okay. So you didn't. And Simon, from that, he thought Portia was just, I don't know, somebody sleeping with people for Rolls Royces, and you're saying that he had a lot of derogatory things about her. Okay, fine. But from what you are in Atlanta and you know people in Atlanta, what's your impression of Portia's reputation in Atlanta? My inbox has been filled with, people telling me she might have killed JFK or more believable, credible stuff. But since you are actually on the ground and you know her before, during, and after, what's your impression of her reputation in Atlanta?
Honestly, Simon has a reputation that I'm just now finding out about, and I was with him for 5 years. I grew up very sheltered. I don't know how to be the CIA. I don't my girlfriend, I can be like, "Listen, I saw somebody's pinky toe in the background of somebody's story, go find them." And she would find whose pinky toe that was in 2 seconds. I don't know how to do that because I don't care. So, even when people I forget it in 2 seconds. So it's not like, you can come and gossip to me and I'm like, "Oh, for real?" And then be like, "Okay." But yeah, no, I don't know anything about her reputation. I don't care to know. I only made that comment. One, she came from my relationship and I don't even know why, because she has no room to speak about my relationship. It don't got nothing to do with you. And I haven't said nothing to you. I haven't mentioned you. I haven't said your name, not even in my interview. I didn't say nothing about you. So you should not be inserting yourself in mine. So I said what I said. But
Okay. Okay. Two questions since you're in the mood to speak on it. Since you're in the mood to speak on it. Listen, if Real Housewives of Atlanta, this is second to last question. If Real Housewives of Atlanta actually approached you and if Portia wasn't on the show, would you consider going back to reality TV?
I would tell them to go fuck themselves.
You heard it here first. So, okay, you know what? After all that show has bought into your life, and in my opinion, production did an alley-oop and an assist, I cannot blame you for feeling like that. Last thing before question I have, and I'm going to do a recap for everyone. Everybody can ask me why I keep doing recaps. Because some of y'all, not my followers, right? Like, comment, and subscribe. But some of y'all have the memories of guppies. They're just like, why is this? And it's like she already explained that. So I'm just going to recap. You and Simon were having problems. You decided to take a couples trip toward the end of January for 4 or 5 days to Costa Rica. You did not stay in the mansion. It was a rental property. It seemed like you guys reconciled. He blew you off on Valentine's Day and left you and all of your kids and his together while he left for 2 months. Now, curiously, around that time, if you have my expose, Portia was deep in Miami with Shamia. They were also in Costa Rica at that new rental they didn't know about, but they were also celebrating Lauren's birthday too. So all of them were kind of there for a while. But let me get back on subject. It was 2 months. You guys were still taking couples therapy over the phone. So you thought you were working on your marriage. Around early April, it became clear to both of you that it wasn't going to work. You helped him write a mutual statement that you were both going to release, saying, listen, guys, we tried. This marriage is over. The prenup, we split the assets up. However, Simon decided to get the jump on you and release his statement first. It was all fine. He was doing whatever you knew about that he was doing. You guys both had an agreement that you guys are free people. This wasn't an open marriage. It wasn't do what you want to do. It was two people that literally said, for all intents and purposes, we are done. It was a clean slate. You were a free woman. He was a free man. You guys both agreed to it. However, when he actually found out that you moved on is when all of a sudden he started bringing up all these narratives of cheating. The minute that he didn't think that you were crying, listen to Mary J. Blige, somehow I'm not going to cry anymore. The minute he knew you were listening to Mary J. Blige crying into your pillow, he started with all these attacks threatening you through your friends and family, telling his plan of how he was going to smear your reputation. Unfortunately, it looks like, I know he wasn't successful, right? Because you see the comments in the room, but for the people that don't pay attention, he did his best to be Mr. Smoke and Mirrors and fool those that could. That's why you're coming out to tell your truth. No matter who you are dating now, and if you want to actually speak about who you're dating now, Simon had no claims. And to everybody, if Batista tells family, I want to firmly actually say, when it came to Simon and Porsche, it wasn't necessarily that they had both moved on. It was the fact of why they were lying and cheating and moving things around, even at their meetup spot, St. Regis, where apparently that is the spot for Mr. Goya. It was the fact that, and if you guys can just stay with this, the lying and the cheating, stealing. Again, just because I plan to rob your house and break in, you don't live there, does not take away from the fact that I literally tried and did everything I could to rob you. When you talk about culpability, for me, and I'll get off my high horse, there's some real culpability in that. It was very, very, very vindictive. I hope it's just Simon and that Porsche is not feeding it. At this point, it looks like just two very, very vindictive people that for whatever reason want to wipe the smile off your face. That's why it makes me so happy that you did take control of your life. It sounds like you were with somebody very toxic, very controlling. This is my opinion, not anything you said. Very toxic, very controlling from what I've heard, very demeaning. And someone just lived a smoke and mirror life. You did not know what. Did you ever even go to any of his offices? Does he have an office outside the house? I mean, he just completely kept you in the dark about so much.
Yeah, he has one. It's empty. It has a desk and a printer. He pays rent on it every month. He doesn't work from it. He doesn't ever go there. Oh, he doesn't work from it.
So he has an office with a desk and a printer. That's good. At least the printer's not on the floor. Okay, fine. But that's what I was saying. Now you guys have found equilibrium. Things were dark for a while. Before we go, Fallon, what do you want us to know about the next stages of your life? Because to me, and you guys let me know in the comments, if Fallon wants, she can stay around a little bit more and answer comments, or I know it's getting late, you have to go. But honestly, to me, it looks like things are pretty much cut and dry. The marriage was over, you guys both agreed. Simon was the one that got things messy because it seemed like, I don't know, I guess he thought you'd stay single forever because he clearly moved on. So with that said, last question, what would you like to know about your next steps and where you are and how you're feeling? It's bringing a smile to your face these days, No.
I would say right now I'm working on my skincare line. I am getting back into acting. I grew up in theater my whole life, so I wasn't allowed to be an actor in my marriage. So now I'm capable of doing that, and I'm getting back into that. I'm also working on being a public speaker. So,
nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on, but I'm so excited in the next chapters. to come. I do, however, I do want to, just so that, because guys, this is going to be my last time talking about this. I'm not going to do any more interviews on it. This was like my closing chapter. The one thing that you guys, a lot of people have been waiting for, you know, to try to make sense of everything. I just want to move on with my life and my future, my new future. And so if they have any questions that maybe I didn't answer, I am more than happy to go over that with them. I can't see the questions, but.
Okay, let me flip through. Listen, everybody, the timeline's been put out there. From what we see, her and Jalen were not cheating on Simon. And the celebrity that you were dating, or is that a secret? I mean, we're all friends these days, you know.
I can't. I don't want to involve him.
Okay.
He's a cool guy. If y'all knew, y'all be like, okay. I don't want to involve him.
So when you started dating the celebrity, which was the first person you moved on, you and Simon were already over. He knew, you knew, and it was respect on both sides. The Porsche situation, we all know that they've been creeping. If you guys saw my expose, my theory is they've been creeping since last September. So there was a lot of sneaking going. There was a lot of sneaking going on. You know, thank you so much, Fallon. Let's see if we can just flip through and take a few questions. But it looks like you pretty much answered all the questions that everybody has. And thank you so much for joining us, Fallon. I really appreciate it, you guys. Fallon has cleared the record. She has let you know, good, bad, or indifferent. She didn't give her opinion. That's what I love about Fallon. She is a walking receipt. She just gives the facts. And it is. Everybody can make their own narratives, but you guys have the truth out there. And like we said, Fallon, you said you have text messages backing a lot of this up, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if Mr. Gabati or anybody in his camp wants to come out, I'm sure they can issue a public request to share those text messages with the public, and Fallon will be happy to come back on my channel and share those text messages with everybody. But it looks like we pretty much cleared everything up. Thank you so much, Fallon. I know this was a long live, but there's been so much. I just wanted to get everything lined up so we could get all those. Last thing, Fallon, and this is a little off color right before you go. I heard that Simon has a vasectomy. Is there any truth to that? Is Simon nipped and tipped?
No, he froze his sperm. He made an appointment to do so, but he froze his sperm because I actually wanted more children, which I will be. But no, not the. I don't know what he's done after, you know, we broke up, but while we were together, no.
Okay, I'm sorry to have to go. You know, I had to let it slide in. Thank you so much, Fallon. It's truly been a pleasure. You are gorgeous. You're going to be so successful in the public speaking, with the theater, and with all accomplishments. And also, you guys follow Fallon on her YouTube channel. She is, of course, starting her skincare line, but she has a lot going on with tutorials, and also just bringing a fresh air into just starting over, which I think a lot of women, even my times, can definitely relate with. So thank you so much, Fallon. You are an inspiration.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Finally.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, you guys. Thanks for joining. Talk later. Bye-bye.